If you're playing completely free to play, you're probably wondering what are the best formations that you could be potentially going for in Age of Empires Mobile. So I'm going to offer you 3 different solutions that I honestly think if you pick any one of these, work towards this goal, you will be rewarded at the end, because each formation has its pros and cons and allows you to work on future formations as well, which are really going to be good in the future. So smash like, comment and subscribe, and let's just dive in to today's video, because the first one is the obvious choice. This is the #1 choice I think anyone will tell you. If you're playing completely free to play player, go for Lubu. Just go for Lubu. If you want to go for one march, this is the march. Lubu, Guan Yu, and Attila. And you're going to need, obviously, Attila from Season 1. And then you're going to need to get Lubu later on in Season 2, right? So these are 2 commanders that you're going to be needing in your lineup. Guan Yu is obtained through the tavern, so it's really easy to get on your account. And when it comes to the skills, I'm going to recommend the easy build. I think if you just go with this build, you're not going to go wrong. So with this, you're going to run a Lubu with the good old Ring of Daisy. You can run the Ring of Iris too, but the Ring of Daisy just gives you a free damage ring, and it's blue, so it's super cheap for free-to-play players, and a lot of spenders are also using this ring, so just use it. It's not a bad ring at all. So that's going to be equipped onto your Lubu. When it comes to the skills, I would honestly just run Ripper Tiger with your weak spot attack combo. It's nice and easy for the free-to-plays, and obviously having more crit damage is going to allow you to obviously punch up instead of punching down in some cases. Then if we go over to your Guan Yu, I would run the Night Wolves. This is going to be your first purple ring that you're going to be wanting to invest into when you get the ability to for your account. And then when it comes to his skills, you want critical insight, and then you're going to be running Fatal Blow. So you're going to be running Fatal Blow with critical insight on Guan Yu. Again, critical strikes, it all buffs into that Lubu, giving you the most chances of just having the maximum damage output when it goes in there. And then the good old Attila. And Attila, you can run a variety of different rings. I would say the best in choice is Tranquil Water if you want to be really tanky. However, if you don't have, obviously, that amount of coins to get that ring, you can run something like the Ring of the Falcon. Why not? It's a super cheap ring too. It's an 800 one, right? It's going to give you, or 600 one, should I say. It's going to give you some nice stats for those coins, and its survivability for your match. If you want a bit more damage, you can also go for the Ring of the Bear, you can go for the Ring of the Lion, or if you want a really cheap alternate, guys, and this is one thing a lot of people always forget about, Ring of the Clover. You can just whack Ring of the Clover on your Attila, and you're having a 50% chance of reducing all damage you take by 10%, which is a really nice little bit of survivability, and it's a cheap ring, so no matter what, you've got all the different options there, realistically, for your match, especially for a free-to-play player when it comes to the rings and the skills that you're going to be going into for this match. What are the pros for the match? Well, this is obvious, right? It is an absolute insane glass cannon match, and Lubu is arguably a mythic classed hero disguised as a legendary hero. And the one thing what makes him really insane too, as one really good pointer out, which a lot of people just completely forget about on this hero, is his commander skill. His commander skill is one of the first in the game that does a circular area of effect around him, so anything around him can just get absolutely obliterated when this goes off. So 5 enemies doing so much damage, reducing their march speed, and it can critical strike. So it is a crazy powerful skill on top of obviously what the hero is going to be doing with his main unrivaled prowess. This is a really powerful match. You're going to be able to hunt down any of the Mulan players. You're going to be able to hunt down any archer. Obviously, any infantry you should be able to beat as well in the long run. You should easily beat other Lubus who are obviously punching lower than you. So, obviously, if they're weaker, you should always beat them. If they are stronger in terms of gear, it is what it is, guys. I can, sugarcoat it is the best way you can run. But if you're looking in terms now of some pros and cons, right, I would recommend Lubu 3-starred Your Guan Yu has to be 3-star to get the might increase, which a lot of people don't realize, and the Attila as well, 3-star for this formation. If you do get a 5-star hero, especially the 5-star Attila, it does add a massive amount of damage buff onto your Lubu. But a lot of people, and I would agree, if you're going to choose any one of those heroes to 5-star, if you had them all 3, it would be Lubu. Lubu 5-star is just crazy, increasing the chance of unrivaled prowess, activating an extra normal attack by 30% is no laughing matter, because it just means he's getting an extra chance of hitting that double hit on you and just blowing you up, basically. So really powerful match, right? The one issue, though, what a lot of people might not tell you is, even though this is super powerful, there are going to be Pikeman players out there, and there is going to be Pikeman the next set of seasons coming on, talking about season 4, right? Because in season 3, we're going to get some cool heroes, which isn't too bad, but in season 4, when we get the Lagerfur, we get the Elizabeth, we get Belisarius, right? Those 2 heroes can combine with a Shocker, and that is a very devastating combo to fight against other cabs, especially if you're running Lubu. That match is basically trying to counter you completely in utter sense. So just be wary that you are going to be kind of countered in the next season, right? It's just what it is when you play Lubu, right? However, in the longevity, I think a lot of players will say, and I am going to tell you now, he's going to be one match. If you invest into it, you're going to be using it for the longest of times, because it is so goddamn good and so powerful in Age of Empires Mobile, right? So that's the first one, the first match, obvious one for you guys, right? But now let's go to the second match, and the second one is going to be Pikeman, right? It's going to be Pikeman on this, and the beautiful thing about Pikeman, before we dive into what you could run in their kit, is with Richard, Boudica, and Mansa Musa, in theory, if you've missed Richard the First, and a lot of you guys might be saying, oh, I didn't pick up Richard, you know, in the comments, I understand. If you didn't pick up Richard, don't worry about it, because as long as you've got Boudica and Mansa Musa, you're going to be saved with Season 4, and I will explain, right? Because Richard the First is going to be your main damage dealer in this match. He's just going to be, is what you're going to be wanting to hit as hard with as possible. But the cool thing is, if you missed him, you're going to get access to Cyrus later down the line. And Cyrus is going to be a warrior pikeman that you can put in this lineup, and it's just going to work better, right? If you've missed Richard, sure, but you're going to get Cyrus. So it's perfectly fine if you've missed it. And with that, with Cyrus coming into the game, you're going to be able to counter, obviously, the first match, the Lubu match, especially if you've worked on this match over time, you've saved your medals, you've started working on all your gear, and you've prepped for it over a long period, especially as a free-to-play player, you're gonna be an absolute monster out there. Because the thing is, with Richard, Boudica, and Mansa Musa, these 2 heroes are gonna be used in a variety of future Pikeman support combos that you're gonna be running, because Mansa Musa is an amazing commander that obviously, and when you're getting hit, you're going to be reducing that damage taken, which is really good, and recovering troops. But what you can also do is reduce their armor if you put him in the primary position. So if you want to be more of a kind of like tankier and burst based hero, you can actually put Mansa Musa primary, and it does okay in the right scenarios. It's not 1v1 match by any means, but it is there to try and stop counter swarms hitting it, right? So really cool kind of concept there. But if we're going to go down the road, I would suggest, right, Richard, I would always build as your main damage dealer, right? So this is going to be your forceful retaliation and whirlwind sweep combo, no matter what. It's just, it's an insane amount of damage that his hero puts out, with his Lionheart stacks going crazy on there, right? But with your Boudica and your Mansa Musa, you can build them in 2 different ways. I prefer running them this way now, because I think pikemen are designed to tank damage, in especially open field. If you can tank damage and start tanking out more damage than you're supposed to, your counterattacks actually just start to do a truck ton of work, especially when you're getting swarmed by multiple people. This is where they kind of shine. So if you want to go down my build, I run Tenacity and Kingsblade. I absolutely love this build because it's purely supportive, and then when you get this Tenacity, especially when you work on it, 325% recovery is an absurd amount of recovery that you have on your troops. Kingsblade is a really good one because it's buffing, obviously, all the heroes' damage, aka your Richard, or if you're going to have Cyrus later down in Season 4, it's going to be buffing his damage. When you go to the more skills, there isn't really any other options unless you want to go down a second damage dealing route. You can go down a Forceful Retaliation and Whirlwind Sweep route again on this hero, and if you have two main commanders basically doing damage, it is a kind of like glass cannon pikeman build. It's not really there to sustain. It's there to fight in the short fights and get as much value out of those short fights compared to trying to prolong them. So that's up to you if you want to go down that route. If we go to Mansa Musa, it's the exact same thing. I'm going to be running Golden Odyssey, which is a really powerful one, recovering units, and obviously increasing damage dealt by your commander and tenacity for more recovery on this march. You can change this again if you want to go down more of an offensive route and run Fearless Retribution, which is going to recover units still, but it's going to be dealing some damage, but the amount of recovery is nowhere near as much as you think. So again, 120% damage is cool, while only recovering 25%. It's not that much compared to a 217% recovery in my eyes, right? You can run Kingsblade as well if you want to run Golden Odyssey Kingsblade. That is a perfectly fine combo, but the way I run this is to basically sustain tank as much as possible with him, because he is an absolute monster even with just this primary skill. Now let's kind of like talk about the rings that you would go for and then the pros and cons with this march, because it still has its pros, it still has its cons like any other march, right? The first thing is the rings are pretty flexible. I would always suggest, no matter what, if you're playing as a free-to-play pikeman, Ring of the Boar is just like the primary. Get this first. If you get this first, you're kind of set, because this is going to be your main damage ring until you get anything upgraded, aka the Messenger of Destruction, which is the 4,000 ring for this match, which would be technically your end goal when you go for the very, very late game. But for now, when we talk about free to play, and especially people that just want an easy focus, I would go for your Ring of the Boar, right? Ring of the Boar is just giving you more passive skill damage when your troops fall below 60%, which synergizes perfectly with the Mansa healing, especially with the Boudica healing, the iron on my march, and then it works really well with your Richard. So really, really good kind of synergistic ring for all of those marches. After that, though, you can go down a variety of routes, right? You can grab the Ring of the Lily. This is another recovery-based ring. You can go for the All-Star Ring of the Clover. This is a really good ring because, again, it has a 50% chance of reducing damage taken by 10%. In the right scenarios, if you are fighting a truck ton of Lubus and all those Mulans and everyone we've kind of talked about, Ring of the Badger is that one to counter them. It reduces the troop normal attack and secondary skill damage taken by those units. So really good ring to counter those type of units. And then coming up to the top, again, you got Ring of the Falcon. Really powerful ring you can put on pikemen to grant them either reduction of damage they can take or even recovery for the match, so you get the best of both worlds in there. If you're going for a 1.6, you can't go wrong with the Lofty Mountain and Tranquil combo. These two rings together with the boar is kind of nasty on one match. I will be completely honest with you, right? So if you're a free-to-play pikeman, hopefully I've given you some ring choices there, and you can kind of understand if you pick any of those rings up and work even from the rares and work your way up, you're going to be good as golden. Now, the first thing, our marches. Richard. The thing is with Richard, he's pretty cool as a hero at 1 star. You get quite a lot of value from actually an increase of damage attack rate on that 50%. 3 star, though, is where you kind of want it, right? It triggers the counterattack damage when the mark reaches 16 stacks, and each stack increases the damage amount by 12.5% up to 100. So this is kind of where you get a little bit more quicker damage dealing. The thing is with this hero, you kind of want to push that 5 star, increase the damage rate of his might damage by 220% and increases the slowdown effect from 20 to 30. So you get an insane amount of damage from the 5 star. Is it worth it? I don't think it is, because I do think Cyrus, when he comes out at 5-star, is just going to be infinitely better. So if you want to save your, universal medals, you can do that, and maybe just rock a 1-star Richard could be the call for the free-to-play players, because what I would try to do is 3-star your Boudica and 3-star your Mansa Musa, especially Mansa Musa. 3-star Mansa is a massive game changer on this match, and you can understand why from just reading it. It adds a brand new bit of text to his kit, which is additionally recovering units based on your might bonus. So with the tenacity, with the golden Odyssey, and this, you are healing so many troops per turn. It is kind of crazy, and it gives those pikemen the ability to sustain and get swarmed by multiple marches and tank all the way through it, while their Richard, while their Cyrus deals an absurd amount of damage in the open field. 1-star is really good. It does increase the damage rate of the Devout Radiance by 50%. It's not too bad at all, right? But the 5-star as well increases the damage reduction effects of Devout Radiance by 6%, and you get an extension on the duration, which is really good, by 3 seconds. So 5-star Mansa is good. I'm going to be honest. I think 5-star Master is a very good supportive hero. However, you don't need it, but you will 100% feel the effects of it compared to a 5-star Richard in my eyes, right? So Mansa Musa 5 stars already a higher priority than Richard, but 3-star is enough. Same thing kind of goes with your Boudica. Boudica 1-star is all right. Like, I've got it, and it's doing its job. It's increasing the extra damage by 25%, but 3-star is where you wanna, right? Increases that trigger chance of Swift Reprisals counterattacks from 20 to 25, and it might not sound like much, gaining 5% extra, but it goes from a 1 in 5 into a 1 in 4, and that 1 in 4 does add up in consistency. Over time, it's just more damage. 5-star is pretty nice. It does increase the might of your hero with the highest might, aka this is going to boost up your Richard or your Cyrus as much as possible. But I just don't think you need this extra 30 points, especially for the investment requirements. So 3-star Boudica is all you really need, or even 1-star if you really want to save some sculptures. But 3-star is honestly where it's at, right? So, pros of this match, as you can imagine, the pros are you're going to be playing Pikeman Season 1. You are having a decent-ish lineup, especially when you enter Season 2, because you're going to expect all the Lubus out there, and especially when you get your Mansa and Boudica online, you're going to be cooking. You're going to honestly start cooking and killing people on the open field. The issue, though, is that you're playing Pikeman, and there is those kind of players out there that run Mulan and they run Miyamoto, and those two marches, especially early game, the big spenders will beat you even as a Pikeman player. The thing is with Pikeman that I personally feel is, even if you're playing this as a free-to-play player, you got to look at this as a late game march, where once you've got all the pieces and you have leveled up those rings, you've got your level 60 or level 80 gear all online, your skills level 40, they're at least rank 3 or higher on each of those skills, then you're going to notice this match does an insane amount of work compared to when it was honestly a lot lower, right, when it's not in the late game phase. So that's kind of the one thing. And the only other pro that I would say about this match is it's a little bit more flexible than the first one, because again, you only need Boudica and Mansa Musa as a Pikeman main, because then you can replace Richard with Cyrus, and if you're more of a spender, you do have Leonidas that can go into this slot too. You got to think maybe in the future more warrior Pikemen are going to come, so all you're going to be doing is replacing this one slot as a free-to-play player while maintaining these two really powerful support-based heroes that you can be putting on your march, right? So, the third and final match is going to be the one that I know a little bit more about, and is going to be your archers, warrior archers, and you can run Mehmed, Bellevue, and I would put Josephine all together in this one lineup, and it is a kind of disgusting lineup in the right areas, especially in your good old rallies. It does pretty good in there, and in the open field it's not bad at all, right? And the reason is because of the double attack states that we're going to try and take advantage of on here. The one thing I will point out, and I know some comments will put it in, I personally don't know if Bellevue primary is better than Mehmed primary. The only reason I'm putting Mehmed primary there is for two reasons. I want his turn-based skill to trigger on turn one basically as fast as possible, and I don't want Bellevue on screen. It sounds weird, but if people see a Bellevue on their screen, 9 times out of 10 they target it. Honestly, they always target it because they don't think, oh well, you know, he hasn't got a Mulan, so I'm going to kill it. Mehmed, on the other hand, is a little bit different. People can look at it as, is this an infantry march or is this an archer march? And then even when it starts cooking off, they need to check the reports to see what you're running. So it's a really good way of hiding that you're a free-to-play player while packing quite a lot of punch in this too, right? So the way I would run this match is pretty easy. Freeze start is going to be minimal on all of these heroes. And the thing is, with Josephine, you could get her to 5 stars. And the way you would get her to 5 stars is by using every single, and I mean this, every single Battlefield Survivor reward chest towards it, right? So if you start the game off and you get a bunch of them done, that's perfectly fine, because by season 3 it should come back around and allow you to complete it a second time, and with extra difficulties, giving you extra rewards. And with the tavern plus that, you could definitely have enough to have completed a 5-star, giving you the maximum damage out of her. But 3-star is going to be fine, right? 5-star is easily obtainable with this hero, especially free-to-play player. Bellevue, you want a 3-star again. 5-star is gonna be honestly game changing on this match, very similar to Lubu, where the thing is, when you get a Bellevue 5-star and you now no longer reduce your own armor, but you increase your own might by an additional 30 points, these damage stacks that you've got on 1 and 3 stars all start to add up now. With this 3rd stack of extra damage that you've got with no downside now, yeah, she's a crazy hero, absolutely crazy hero in the right match, right? Mehmed, you can keep 3-star again, but 5-star is game changing for this. It increases the damage reduction effects and the damage increase effects by an additional 10%. So no laughing matter when you get an extra 10% of the damage reduction or of the damage based increase, right? So when it comes to the skills for this match, it's quite easy to go down. Mehmed's going to run Owl's Lament and Peaceful Haven, right? We want to be able to recover units every 6 seconds, and anytime we do, we have that chance, as you can see, 75% chance to recover damage taken in that window. So he's a really good supportive match and just keeps us up in there. With that, we're going to be running Peaceful Haven on purpose, because we are going to be recovering units all the time, and recovering units is going to give us that nice instant reduction of troop damage, right? While he's in the commander as well, this increases the damage dealt by nearby allied troops, which a lot of people kind of forget that Mehmed has. It's up to 3 troops, and your other troops will be prioritized by 18%. So think about it, with a Mehmed commander on the field, even if you're a free-to-play player, you could be boosting someone like me, someone like Blaine, right? Mephisto. You could basically be boosting a T7 or better player in this game and increasing their damage dealt by 18%, as well as upon taking skill damage, recover units equal to 15%. It's a very good skill that people are sleeping on that you could be running as a primary commander, and that's why I would be running him as a free-to-play player, because you are going to be dealing damage, but supporting the field is massive with this match, right? So Mehmed is very good in that commander slot, so that's the skills we would be running on him, and those are the things that I would want to run on him. And when we're going to Bellevue, we are going to be running Dart Flag and Pain in Blood. This recovers units because we're going to be wanting as much sustain as possible and reduce the enemy's armor as well, because with this march, you're going to be entering the double attack state with obviously Black Tide. There's a 75% chance to do that for 3 seconds, and what's even more cooler is with Josephine. Josephine is going to grab you the double attack and weak spot spot attack, right? You could run protracted battle. I personally wouldn't. Weak spot attack and double attack is actually a really good combo with Josephine, because you are going to now enter again the double attack state, so you have more double attack triggers, and the more double attack triggers with this March with weak spot up, you're going to be dealing more damage. But with Josephine, you actually recover troops on top, right? So Josephine recovers troops, your Mehmed recovers troops, and your Bellevue all recover troops, and you're entering the double attack phases, so you're gonna actually hopefully sustain this damage up, and all the time as you're doing this, you're gonna be triggering these peaceful haven procs and just making your attack march pretty damn tanky while dealing truck ton of damage, right? So those are the three main heroes. The stars I've kind of explained to you guys there, and the skills. When it comes to ring choices, there's obviously three different ones you can go for. You always want to try and get, even if you're not running Mulan, Radiant Guardian. This ring, if you put it on Bellevue, is gonna be just absolutely obscene. You will just do so much more damage, and it's going to help out the Josephine as well, so why not, right? But it's a really good ring. If you don't want to buy the 4K ring, right? If you don't want to buy the 4K ring, I would put Ring of the Daisy on this March. You can put this on your Bellevue, or you can put this on the Josephine, as it says as here. You can basically put it on either one of those two heroes. Pick which one you want to go for, because then you would go and grab the Ring of Bear, and the Ring of the Bear would be placed on the other hero that you've got equipped, because that would allow you to have, again, as much damage out there while reducing your armor only by 20 points, which is pretty good of a sacrifice, while just obviously getting this massive damage output. And then for the third ring, I would grab Ring of the Falcon. You can run either Ring of the Falcon, or you can run Ring of the Clover, just to give you one sustain, one survivability ring with 2 DPS choices. There is other things you could go on. Honorable mention is obviously a Nightwolf. You could put Nightwolf on either your Bellevue or your Josephine, whichever one hero has the highest might. You want to put the Ring of the Nightwolf on, so that's a really good ring as well that you could put on this March too. But I personally would go for Ring of the Falcon on my Mehmed, especially on my Mehmed. And then if I can get anything better, it would be the Tranquil Water or the Lofty Mountain. You can put either one of these two rings on that Mehmed, and again, it's going to do an insane amount of work for free-to-players. The thing is, though, now let's talk about it, because Josephine is going to be accessible really easy, right? You're going to get her, and in the early game, you can be running something like Josephine with your Hammurabi and maybe like your King Derek until you get your first Archer Commander, which is going to be Bellevue. And then you would be running like Josephine, Bellevue with your King Derek, and you're waiting until you get your Mehmed. And once you get Mehmed, that does make this March a lot more bearable and actually work, because the thing is, you got to think, if you're playing Warrior Archers, you're going to do some good damage season 1, but season 2 is the Lubu era, and you will get hunted down. You will get hunted down, and they will try to just blow you up within 2 seconds, because that's what Lubu honestly does, right? So you've just got to be wary of that when you think of it. So each one of these formations are very good for free-to-players. You can build them pretty easily, because all of the heroes are either on the legendary advent wheel, or you're going to be earning them completely free anyway through the tavern. We've gone through all the skills, we've gone through all of the rings, we've gone through even pros and cons for all 3 marches. So you can kind of see now, if you're a free-to-play player, if you're building one of these marches and you're watching this video, hopefully I've answered maybe some of your questions and given you a little bit more hope, and maybe just giving you advice on what you should be doing with it, because you got to think, this is not ever going to be an early game project. You're going to be building one of these 3 marches, and obviously going for the rings, leveling up those rings to level 40, getting the gear, leveling up that to 60, getting your skills, maxing them out to 40, and then upgrade them to rank 3 and onwards. Right? So all of this adds up, but if you do it all to at least one of these marches, you're gonna be good. You're honestly gonna be cooking in the game, and you'll have fun, because at the end of the day, everyone might enjoy Lubu, some people might enjoy Pikeman, and some people might enjoy Archers, and at least That way, I'm giving you guys a nice little heads up. One last thing I will say about this match in particular that you will have noticed, you do run Mehmed and Josephine, which does give you a dual class, and in the future you get Lagertha, so you can replace even Bellevue here with Lagertha in Season 4, and you've got a warrior infantry lineup that's going to sustain, deal a nice amount of damage, and just obviously just take damage, right? It's pretty cool because you got Josephine and Mehmed still in there. So that's kind of another thing, just to, what kind of brought up in my head. It's just for some reason brought up. Don't know why, but I just thought of it right then. So with that, guys, hopefully you've enjoyed today's video. Smash like, comment, and subscribe. And until the next one, stay safe, stay sneaky. Peace out.